Hello everybody! Today we have everyone's favorite video, the book haul for October 2025. We've got a hardcover first of Legends 1, or just Legends, edited by Robert Silverberg. So there's Rift World in here, there's Dark Tower in here, there's Song of Ice and Fire in here, there's whatever the fuck Good Kind does. There's Tad Williams in here, so we get, I believe it's Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, some Earthsea, Magipore from Silverberg himself. I'm really big on picking up things from my library that I find important to the history of genre fiction, science fiction, fantasy, and every single one of these stories that are in here, this was the very first time that they had been published. This was the very first time that anyone was reading any of these stories, and that is super excellent. The entirety of the Long Price Quartet, you're following people through the course of their lives, from when they're young to when they're old, and they have to deal with the repercussions of the actions and the magic. I'm really, really excited and looking forward to this. I will be getting started on these January at the latest, so I look forward to busting this out at the very beginning of 2026. Harlan Ellison's The City on the Edge of Forever, the original teleplay. So, everyone's favorite Star Trek episode, The City on the Edge of Forever, the world's favorite Star Trek episode, I should say. It's the episode in the original series where they beam down to this planet, and they find, to me, it's always looked like a bit of a Stargate type thing, and they end up going through it, and it sends them back into time. The story never gets old, and now I have the opportunity to read Harlan Ellison's source material on the episode. Very excited. This will be coming up in a TBR very soon. The folks over at Talking Story are going to be reading Boy's Life in January. I have always wanted to read this book, so I went ahead and I picked myself up a copy so I can tag along with that. There are a vast amount of people calling similarities of this and It by Stephen King, coming of age, going back to an old town to confront the evils of the past and potentially the evils of the town. I'm staying a little bit vague on it in my own mind. I don't know much more than I just told you on this, but I have never heard a single bad word said about this book. And the majority of what I hear people say is that this is a personal favorite of theirs. I will be reading this in January. We have 3 NYRBs. I might as well just do these at once. I have, Malicroix, I'm gonna call it, by Henry Bosco. This is a literary fiction story of a man who inherits a plantation or a large estate, and he has to go and live on the premises for a certain period of time before he can take ownership of the property. I'm not exactly sure. I believe there's like a surrealist element perhaps here. I'm not entirely sure. 250 pages. I'm looking forward to it. The Haunted Looking Glass. Now, I had anticipated originally to read this month. I did not get around to it. Blackwater kind of overtook the end of the month here. The very first story, Algernon Blackwood, The Empty House. There's Charles Dickens in here. We've got Robert Louis Stevenson in here. Bram Stoker. W.W. Jacobs, Wilkie Collins, M.R. James, and more. This is my wheelhouse completely. I don't know exactly when I'm going to pick this up to read it, but I'm super excited to have it in the collection and ready to pick up whenever I so choose. The last NYRB that I picked up this month, you've heard me talk about it in the previous 1 or 2 or 3 videos at this point. That is The Stone Door by Leonora Carrington. This is completely hallucinatory, losing your mind fantasy, wacky zaniness. There's so much imagery in this. I did read this. I finished this up last week. This was the highest rated book of the month for me. I came out of it extraordinarily confused. I came out of it rather unsettled by the imagery. And this blew me out of the water. Absolutely. I've got 2 others from her that I am ever more stoked to read at this point. If you haven't read Leonora Carrington, pick her up, look her up. Just go ahead and give her a little Google real quick, because this woman is another Anna Kavan, and absolutely fascinating. The Passion According to G.H. by Clarice Lispectre. This is the very first novel by Clarice. I believe that all of her work is more on the shorter side. This book comes in at under 200 pages. This is essentially a literary fiction novel about a woman who kills a cockroach in her bathroom and then suffers a complete catastrophic mental breakdown. Psychological wackiness, zany, mind hallucinatory. It sounds fascinating. I want to see what all of that is about. On the Road by Jack Kerouac. I haven't really read anything about this. I'm intending to go in completely blind. I did read the first page of the introduction. Now, mind you, it's that long, so this is all of Jack Kerouac I've read at the moment. I feel like I'm definitely in for some very good character development and some very good character study type literature in this. Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. I've began reading this. We started a philosophy group, a philosophy book talk discussion at my local bookstore. We're going over Friedrich Nietzsche. I haven't read a whole bunch of straight-up philosophy books. I don't know if I can actually name one that is straight-up philosophy. We're reading this very slowly. I don't expect to be finished with this anytime soon. So far, this is a very enjoyable read. It's very, very thick with discussion. During our first book club on this, we spoke for 2 hours and we got through the first about less than 5 pages of the prologue. So we're enjoying this. We're loving this a whole lot. This is The Penguin Book of Modern Fantasy by Women. This one encompasses short stories of fantasy and surreal and the fantastic in general by women from about 1940s through 1990s. This book was first put on my radar when I did a search for books that include Anna Kavan, my favorite person to bring up on this channel, Anna Kavan. There's a short story by Anna Kavan in here, A Bright Green Field. That short story is the title short story for a story collection of the same name, released by Anna Kavan in the 1950s, the late 1950s. And there's so many, oh man, this thing is so chock full. We have Shirley Jackson, we have Lee Brackett, we have Daphne du Maurier, Leonora Carrington again. We've got Anna Kavan, we have Anne McCaffrey, we have Joanna Russ, James Tripty Jr., Margaret Atwood, Lisa Tuttle, Tanith Lee, Ursula K. Le Guin, Angela Carter, more, and the list just goes on to the next page. This is the find of the year, I think, for me. I adore this. I absolutely am so stoked for this. This is going to be sitting by my nightstand until the day that I die, probably. I love this. So I'm 32 years old. I started out reading a series of unfortunate events when I was a wee little child in elementary school. It was probably my favorite series of books in elementary school. One of the very first series of books that I ever read. I never finished it. I don't think I got past the first 7 or 8 of the books. As of last year, I started going and collecting the old original hardcovers of these books, and now I have all but one of them. I had collected books 1 through 10, and then book 12. There's 13 in total, so I was missing book 11 and book 13. I couldn't find them for a long time, for a good couple months there, so I kind of put off my search for a while. And when I was in Book Nook and I was able to find the Long Price Quartet as well as that Harland Ellison Star Trek book, I took a look over into the children's section just to see what was over there, because there's a select few things I was looking for. And I was able to find the old original hardcover of the final book, The End, the 13th book in a series of unfortunate events. Now I have this. I'm only missing book 11, so I'm one step away from having a complete set of these beautiful books of my childhood, all in the original hardcover editions. All of them in beautiful condition, actually. This is essentially almost a new book. Oh, look at that, it came with a little bookmark. I didn't even realize that. So those were all the big books that I bought, big format books that I bought. Now we can move into the mass market paperbacks that I bought. I did pick up a couple of these as well. Continuing my CJ Cherryh hunt, I picked up Pretender by CJ Cherryh. I believe this is book somewhere between book 2 and 6 of the Foreigner series. I'm working on slowly collecting the Foreigner series books now that I have collected out a good majority of the Alliance Union universe, which are the books from her that I am reading all of before I jump into this series. I'm collecting this series rather slowly because I'm waiting for very nice, good, unbroken editions to pop up in the local bookstores for good price. I expect I'll be collecting these for a while. Also from CJ Cherryh, I was able to pick up Yvgenie, which is the third book in a trilogy that takes influence from a bunch of old Russian and Slavic folklore. I have the first one of these, Rusalka. We've got Yvgenie here. There's a middle one. It starts with an M. I can't remember the name of it exactly. I keep seeing it pop up in the stores that I go to. However, every time that I see it, it's in completely fucked up copies. The spines are all tilted sideways and it's all messed up, and I haven't been able to find a really good condition copy of that yet. I've seen some hardcover copies of it, which I almost bought, but since I have the other two in A5, I may as well go ahead and get that in A5 as well. Hopefully, if I keep my eyes out, that second book will pop up sooner rather than later. Wicked Bronze Ambition by Glenn Cook. So just off screen to my left here, there is a huge shelf of Glenn Cook books with also some Joe Abercrombie books on there. I have the entire Black Company, and now I have all but one. This is the very last book in the Garrett P.I. series of books. Think Dresden Files is kind of the closest I can think of it. But there's a human detective that has found himself living in a fantasy world. In a rather grimdark fantasy world, actually, filled with goblins and dwarves and elves and rat men. I've read the first book, Sweet Silver Blues, and that was very straightforward fantasy, but with noir detective. From what I have heard, the series takes a bit of a turn after the first book, and dives more deeper into the fantasy elements, the journey elements. I'm really looking forward to it. Now I have books 1 through 11 in large omnibus versions. I have book 12 and 14 here now in mass market paperback A5, and I'm keeping my eyes peeled for the very last book that I need in this series, which is book 13, and I cannot remember the name of it. I was able to pick up Pattern Recognition by William Gibson. There's like social media networks and spy networks intermingling with like government espionage. I really don't know a whole lot more than that on these, but everyone who reads them seems to love them. I was a huge fan of Neuromancer, and I have a copy. Where is it? Where are you? What are you? So I picked up Spook Country a while ago. Last year, probably at this point. I picked up Spook Country by William Gibson, which I didn't know was the second book in this series. So now that I have this, I'm very much looking forward to getting into these next year at some point. I got the first 8 books of Stephen Erickson's Malazan Book of the Fallen. I have wanted to collect these books and read these books since I was in middle school or high school, and I never got around to it until now. So, super stoked. I didn't realize how fucking long these books are. The back 3 books I have here are about 1,300 pages each. I'm super excited to finally read these and join the discussion here on BookTube and in the rest of the bookish world. The only bad thing I hear people say is that it's complicated. Too complicated for them. But for every one person I hear say that, I hear another person say that, you know, it's not that bad. You just read it and, yeah, they're long. Yeah, they're long, but they are doable. But they are very doable and very readable, and if I ever get confused, when I get confused, there is resources aplenty on the internet, here on YouTube and elsewhere, to help me navigate the whatever the hell's about to go on here. I've still got the other 2 books to pick up. I'll likely pick those up at some point, probably here in December. November or December, probably December. So that was every book that I picked up here in October. More than I thought I would pick up, and more than I thought that I did pick up. But I ended up getting very good deals on books this month, and I'm very, very, very stoked. We made some solid additions to the library that I have been dreaming about for decades and years at this point. Able to almost round out a couple series that I've been collecting for a long time now, which is very good. Boy's Life especially, I've been wanting to pick that up for a long time. Little such beautiful gems that fall into my lap, like Harlan Ellison's Star Trek and Legends by Silverberg. That copy of Legends by Silverberg is in pristine condition. I've seen it a few times pop up in bookstores in that edition, but every single time that I've seen them, the jackets were completely shredded and the spines were leaning completely. That thing's practically brand new. I'm gonna kind of sit back, try to not really find myself at the bookstore very much at all, outside of our philosophy group for this next coming month, and read these beautiful, beautiful books. Go ahead down in the comments, let me know what you guys picked up this month. Let me know if there's anything here that you would like to read along with me. And I'll catch you guys here in the next time. Cheers.